are you against abortion in all circumstances? Do you think it should be illegal in all circumstances,
Correct.
even if the woman's life is on the line?
Yes.
If prior to the point in which you switched it to illegal, it was the case that they were married as a 6-year-old man to a 12-year-old, right? Would you not put them in
Yeah,
prison?
that's very morally wrong, but you can't retroactively punish somebody.
He tariffed penguins. He tariffed an island full of just penguins that have no imports and don't have tariffs on us. You think the penguins are tariffing the United States?
Hey, I think that was a power move right there.
That's cringe.
The Gulf of America.
America isn't only the United States. You know that, right? Would you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes.
Why so?
I agree with his stance on abortion, and I don't think he's super pro-Christian, but I think he's a little more favorable to Christianity than Kamala would be.
Kamala, she's Christian.
Yeah, but what about what she said to the guys at the rally?
Yeah, that was people who were Trump supporters that were heckling the crowd. She was just referencing that they should be at the Trump rally that was down the street.
Mm-hmm. Are you Christian? Right? Can I ask?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
I grew up Christian, though.
Okay. Well, what are your problems with it?
I think it's wrong. Like, it's just false.
Based on...
I'm pretty sympathetic to progressive Christians, though, like, in terms of their views.
What do you mean by that? Like,
I think progressive Christians are pretty cool, typically. Like, I just disagree with their view on Christianity. I just think it's false. But I think they're pretty cool.
Okay. I watched some of your debate against Hayden with Dean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, if I could just kind of get your stance on abortion.
Yeah, it's a conjunction of past or present and future subjective experience.
Okay. But you don't believe that there's any inherent value in the human life?
In cellular human life?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
I just don't see any reason to.
You don't see any reason?
Yeah, like, for example, like, do you think it's murder to pull the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead?
I think that'd be wrong, yeah. I don't...
People should go to jail for pulling the plug on an individual in their family that's brain dead?
Well, you can't do ex post facto law. So if...
Clarify what you mean by that.
Sorry, you can't retroactively punish people. So if it was legal now, well, I wouldn't support.
Throughout history, you'd be totally okay with retroactive enforcement. Like with child marriage, would you be okay with retroactive enforcement?
Sorry, with what?
With child marriage, would you be okay with retroactive enforcement?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, so pedophiles who children who married to them, like say a 60-year-old man that married a 12-year-old, you wouldn't retroactively enforce that they would be put in prison if it wasn't illegal prior?
Well, that's wrong, but that goes against U.S. law.
Yeah, but if it wasn't illegal prior, like when it was legal in the country, right? Would you then say that they shouldn't have been put in prison for it?
So if it was legal and then it wasn't?
Yeah, if it was legal, right? Then you switched it to being illegal. If prior to the point in which you switched it to illegal, it was the case that they were married as a 6-year-old man to a 12-year-old, right? Would you not put them in prison?
That's very morally wrong, but you can't retroactively punish somebody. That would be my principle, yeah.
You wouldn't put them in prison?
They would deserve it, but...
Or what about slave owners that owned people as slaves?
Well, they weren't retroactively punished.
Just because they weren't doesn't mean they shouldn't have been. They should have been.
I think if you deliberately disobey the law, then you should be put in jail.
Then you should...
Because you can't...
Okay. Wait, so someone... Well,
can you give me examples?
Wait, you don't think a pedophile who a child should be put in prison and retroactively enforced in terms of law? That's insane.
Can you give me examples of retroactive punishment in U.S.?
I gave you an example. Wait, just because it hasn't happened through the context of U.S. legal history doesn't mean we shouldn't.
That clearly matters.
Wait, are you saying that there's been nothing that's been enforced as illegal that wasn't prior illegal in terms of retroactive enforcement?
Not nothing, but can you give me examples, please?
I don't even know. I don't know a specific one off the top of
Exactly.
my
You
head.
can't give me
Why?
examples.
Wait. Is that supposed to be a reason as to why you shouldn't hold to my position? That I can't give you a specific historical like circumstance where it is the case that like
Well,
legally there was precedence for that? Wait, are you an abolitionist in terms of abortion?
yeah, yeah.
So you think it shouldn't be allowed in any scenario?
Well, I'm actually an abolitionist in both instances, but what specific type of abolitionism?
I'm referencing like, are you against abortion in all circumstances? Do you think it should be illegal in all circumstances,
Correct.
even if the woman's life is on the line?
Yes.
You think they should go to jail if they got an abortion to save their life?
Well, the law can that can be taken account when prosecuting people, but you can't commit the moral principle that you can't commit a grave evil in lieu of something is like you can't commit a great evil in order.
Wow. So it's not self-defense?
No, it's not. Wait, it's
So
not
you
self
so,
defense.
so you
Wait,
think that like you think women, right, should receive the death sentence if it
no.
is the case that they are going to die because of a pregnancy, because they should not be allowed to get access to an abortion.
I would
That's
say
what you just said.
they can do any procedure that does not directly kill the child.
Again, what if it's needed in order to save their life?
They can do
What if
any.
the procedure in order to save their life requires that the fetus would die?
Can you give me an example? Oh, yeah. If it's not directly killing the fetus, I'd be okay with it. Because I'm
What?
not. I'm not.
I said explicitly the only way in which you can have you can save their life is that you get a lethal abortion, right? Should they be allowed to get a lethal
If
abortion?
it's an abortion, then because you can't do evils. You can't commit a grave evil, no matter the.
How is it a grave evil to save a woman's life?
That's a consequentialist argument. That's a consequentialist argument.
What about a non-viable ectopic pregnancy?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Okay, so you would be okay with abortion in that circumstance?
And that's not an abortion.
Oh, what is abortion?
It's the direct killing of a fetus.
So if you do it incorrect, then it's not abortion or indirect. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. Is it the abortion pill indirect?
Oh, the abortion pill would be wrong. Yeah.
What? But it's indirect because you just cut off your nutrients.
Yeah, but the intent of an abortion pill is to.
Can you say the intent of that as well?
The intent of an ectopic pregnancy.
If the intent of ending an ectopic pregnancy would be that you would like that when you get an abortion would be to kill it, right? If it's non-viable, it's going to die, right? If you get an abortion.
Correct.
So it's not their intended first intention purpose.
No, but
right, that when they get an abortion, that
that
it's going to die. It just is going to die, given that they want to terminate the pregnancy.
But the intent of the procedure is to kill the child.
The intent of the procedure is to terminate the pregnancy.
How is the pregnancy terminated? What are you terminating?
You terminate the pregnancy. What is a pregnancy?
What is pregnancy?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be? Are you talking about the fetus?
I'm just asking what there could be pregnancy prior to it being a fetus.
Can you elaborate?
I just asked you what's pregnancy.
The development of a fetus.
Well, that was a horrible definition of pregnancy. How many holes do women have below the waist in typical?
You tell me, Mr. Science Guy.
I'm asking you. Answer the question.
I don't know.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Why so?
My dad kind of taught me a lot, and he was the smartest man I know, and I just kind of been a family thing.
Okay, so can you name like a policy of Donald Trump's that you like?
He likes to lower taxes.
Okay, you know do you support his tariffs?
I think I do. Yeah.
That is a tax. and the Liberation Day tariffs was the largest tax increase in U.S. history. Did you support that?
Well, I think that's a misrepresentation.
No, it was actually the largest tax increase in U.S. history.
Well, how can that be if they're paused?
When they were implemented, they
Well,
are now paused, but when they were implemented.
but they're paused right now, right? And they're making new deals. That it
So
looks like that.
wait. Do you think that the tariffs are for renegotiation to lower tariffs? Well, then you don't support the tariffs.
I think
You
it's.
support reducing tariffs. And then
I
why would
think
you increase tariffs on Canada even after you had the USMCA where you've reduced tariffs?
there's. It sounds like there's renegotiation going on with like 70 countries right now.
Yeah, and for what are we getting from them?
We're getting lower trade barriers.
So we're reducing tariffs. So then you don't support tariffs and you want to reduce tariffs
I support the way he's using them, how he's like kind
to
of
reduce the tariffs,
blackmailing.
or like what are you trying to do?
He's renegotiating trade deals
For what?
to get America to have a more fair deal because people have been
And does a
taking
more fair deal include lower tariffs?
or even tariffs, like the same tariffs that we have
Reciprocal
on the
tariffs?
reciprocal tariffs. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Like,
know that the reciprocal tariffs that they put on the White House and like posted onto their own social media accounts were not actually based on tariffs. They were literally based on like some totally like irrelevant metric, like trade deficit divided by level of imports. That is not the tax on the imports, percentage tax
sure,
on the imports.
sure, but that doesn't change the fact that these countries do have higher tariffs than we have on them.
No, they don't. In
Uh,
plenty of circumstances, they don't have tariffs on us. Like he tariffed penguins. He tariffed an island full of just penguins that have no imports and don't have tariffs on us.
yeah,
You think the penguins are tariffing the United States?
yeah, but that's obviously just closing a loophole so nobody
There is
builds
no
on that.
loophole.
Yeah, because if he doesn't put tariffs on that island, people can build on that island and go around the tariffs. So it's just almost every country was
Did
on
he
there.
tariff Antarctica?
Well, you never know with that. Everything's global
Where are
warming,
his tariffs on Antarctica?
What's up?
Where are his tariffs on Antarctica?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So why just that island?
I believe it's part of
Why
Australia.
just those penguins? If it's part of El Salvador and we already tariffed El Salvador, why would we need to tariff that?
I, I think the idea is to renegotiate deals with big countries.
The penguins?
The penguins are just they're just getting
Are we
strays.
renegotiating with penguins? What
No,
trade
but
deal are the penguins flipping us out on?
well, Australia could go around the tariffs by building on that island. So it's closing a loophole. And Donald Trump knows a lot about loopholes.
A lot about loopholes. Okay, so then here's my question. You say that they would just go to that island. Why can't they do that with any other island? Why didn't Donald Trump put a tariff on every single island in on the planet? He didn't. He didn't put it on every single island on the planet. But apparently he puts it on these specific penguins. What did they do? What did these specific penguins do? It has nothing to do with the loophole. That is a complete misnomer. Right? There
What
are
do you think
other
it has to do
islands they
with?
could have done this from.
What
And
do you
also,
think?
like, I just want to let you know, literally that like China just like puts like just a made in Italy sign, right? Or a made in this certain country on it, right? At the very end, and that's how they get around the tariffs anyway. Like this all have you been on TikTok recently? My For You page is filled. It's filled with just straight up suppliers from China telling us how to buy from them directly and avoid the tariffs.
Well, I mean, and you see how everything is unfair. You see why he doesn't like China and their unfair trade practices when they're doing stuff like that. That's the exact reason why he's going to trade war with them. Because he definitely won the first trade war with them.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, he
The
didn't.
phase one
And
trade
dude,
deal?
we have 245% on China right now.
I'm
Secondly,
talking about the phase one trade deal.
secondly, again, you're not explaining to me why the island, right, is going to receive the tariff.
Like I told you my point of view. I think it's to close loopholes. But I mean, do you have a different hypothesis?
No, it doesn't make any sense because it is the case that he didn't put it on all the other islands that other countries own. And also, if a country owns it, if we put a tariff on that country, then it would apply to all of the islands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact answer on that one, but I don't think it's. I don't think the Penguins were the target. I think they were just
Well, then why were the Penguins the ones that got tariffed?
they got tariffed along with like 70 other countries.
Yeah, well, I didn't know they were a recognized country. So Penguins get recognition of a country before Palestine. Actually diabolical. Like after Donald Trump wants to claim the Palestinian people and he wants to own Trump Gaza and he sees them as real estate development. But the Penguins get recognized as a country before that. Gulf of America gets recognized as the Gulf of America before that.
Hey, I think that was a power move right there.
That's cringe.
The Gulf of America.
America isn't only the United States. You know that, right?